Alright, this is John Colo at DiscountJuicers.com to do another exciting episode for you. This episode we're going to have a juice off. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, John, how can you have a juice off? You don't have two juicers. You got a juicer and you got a blender. Well, actually, I got a vacuum blender and I got a juice bag. So you can juice in your vacuum blender. You can also juice in a standard blender with a juice bag or nut milk bag or even cheesecloth. But actually, I don't recommend that. So I've never had videos where I compare juicers to blenders. But now I've learned the difference that vacuum blending can make so that now you can juice in your juicer and create a higher quality juice than even a slow juicer, in my personal opinion, and based on some of the polyphenol data, research, scientific published studies that I have seen. In addition, I have tasted the juice when I make vacuum juice and it just tastes far superior to me than even a slow juicer. And you know, I mean, I'll be the first to say that I've been selling slow juicers for over 20 years, and now vacuum juicing is the new way to juice if you want the highest yield and you want the highest amount of nutrients, bar none. So if that's like your main criteria, I would honestly recommend vacuum juicing. Now, everything cannot be juiced under vacuum in a blender. Make sure you check the links down below, where I have other videos where I do vacuum juicing and explain the process to you. You gotta, make sure you're juicing the right things. Like fruits are a no-brainer. They're gonna juice even better under vacuum in a vacuum blender than even a juicer. Something like carrots, like if you want to do straight carrot juice, that task is not really gonna be done well in a vacuum blender. So you're gonna have to use a juicer for that, unless you're gonna add like lots of something like cucumbers or apples, because there's not enough liquid in the carrots to just get it to blend properly so that you can do the juicing. So the next thing I will say is that every different style of juicer, or even if you're using a vacuum blender to juice, has its own sets of pros and cons, right? I am the juicing expert. I'd like to think I'm the #1 juicing expert in the world. I don't know anybody else on YouTube that has more videos than me on juicers or comparing juicers like I do. In addition, I juice like almost every day. I drink juice every day as long as I'm not traveling. That I made myself, and I've run thousands of pounds of produce through the juicers. And I try to take juicing to the next level and teach you guys the things that other YouTube channels will not, because I have been doing this for so long. Not only drinking fresh juice myself, but also offering the juicers to the public on our website at DiscountJuicers.com. So if you guys enjoyed my videos and the juicer comparisons that I do, and it's helped you so that you could select the right juicer, I would encourage you guys to support me and my work by making your purchase at DiscountJuicers.com. This allows me to continue to make these videos, to share my juicer comparisons that nobody else is doing, and to give you guys my opinions on what juicer may be the best for you, as well as share all my different juicing tips and tricks on how to store juice, how to clean your juicer the best non-toxic way, how to freeze your juice. All these other tips can be found on my YouTube channel. So be sure you click that subscribe button and make sure you click the little bell so you get notified as many videos come out. And if you are looking to buy a juicer, please buy from DiscountJuicers.com. This allows me to continue my mission to teach people about the power of juicing, and it allows me, to stay in business, to buy my produce, to power my lights, and pay my mortgage. So I appreciate you guys, that have supported me in the past or will support me in the future. In any case, on to today's episode. So today's episode, we are comparing the Nama Vertical Slow Juicer to the Dynapro DPS 2250. This is the brand new Dynapro for 2021. This is a vacuum blender because it has a vacuum pump. This is NSF commercially certified, so you could technically, make juices in the Dynapro because it is NSF in a restaurant and then straighten it out with a nut milk bag, whereas you couldn't use a NAMA if the health department required NSF certification because it is not NSF certified. That being said, it is a task somewhat to juice in a blender with a nut milk bag, but you will make the highest quality and extract the most yield, which, if you have a business, will save you produce costs. And if you're frugal like I am, it's just going to save you money in the long run. Juicing celery in the Dynapro, you could achieve up to like 90% yield, which is unheard of unless maybe you buy like a $2,300 press. Check the link down below when I compared vacuum juicing in the Dynapro to the Pure juicer, which is a $2,300 juicer, and the yields were pretty much similar. The Pure maybe made a slight bit more. but the quality I believe to be better in the Dynapro. Vacuum juicing in a blender is what's called a batch process. You basically make one batch, you put the produce in there, you then blend it up, and then you squeeze it out, and then you have your juice. Whereas in most juicers, you can just continue to put produce in, and the juice keeps flowing out, and the pulp keeps coming out, unless, of course, you jam up the juicer because you're not using it properly, like not pre-cutting your celery in the Nama, and then you could have a horrible time. So that's one major difference. If you're doing large quantities, I could definitely say the juicer would be more efficient. But if you're just doing like one glass at a time because you just want a glass of juice in the morning, you know, maybe the Dynapro will be faster than even the Nama, because the Nama runs at 43 RPMs, 43 revolutions per minute. So that's actually quite slow, which is, you know, you want slow if it is under normal atmospheric conditions. But in the Dynapro, it runs at over 3,200,000 RPMs. We're like, John, that runs a lot faster. That's bad. Well, the thing that makes it not that bad is because you're pulling out the oxygen out of the container as you're blending, so that there's not all the oxidation happening, and that generally happens at high RPMs when you're not under vacuum in normal atmospheric conditions. So I would say that the Nama, even at 43 RPMs, oxidizes the juice more, and this is also based on some studies I've seen, than the Dynapro vacuum blender when blending at a higher RPM. So that's one thing, the nutrients. Now the other thing is the heat, of course, in a blender, because it is running at a lot higher speed, there's a lot more friction regardless of being in a vacuum. So you should try to run the machine as lowest possible time as possible. If doing something like watery fruits, that's not really an issue. I mean, literally I could blend watery fruits like grapes, for example, for like 20 seconds. They're totally blended up and I'm totally done. And if I had to feed that many grapes through a Nama, I'd still be there juicing. So every juicer has its own set of pros and cons. In addition, what's easier to clean, the Nama or the Dynapro? Well, cleaning a blender is really easy. I mean, literally you just have to rinse it out and you're done, and then you get to clean a nut milk bag out, and I recommend the BlendTech nut milk bag. It is quite unfortunate that I recently heard that BlendTech.com took the nut milk bag off their website, so it is no longer available. So if you guys want to get these, get it now. It is still available at Amazon right now until they sell out. And I've also heard that BlendTech has literally discontinued these nut milk bags, which are my favorite nut milk bag in the world. So that's kind of sad. So I'm sad to see these guys go, because it really makes the vacuum juicing possible. That being said, you could use another nut milk bag or even cheesecloth, but this is the easiest and simplest nut milk bag or juice bag that I found that is the easiest to clean. I literally take this and just spray it down with a garden hose, high pressure, and it's clean without any scrubbing. Meanwhile, on the Nama, you know, the Nama will take me about 4 to 5 minutes to clean all the little nooks and crannies and the screen you got to scrub and all this kind of stuff. So, you know, if cleaning is really important to you, maybe you want a vacuum juice, because that's going to be easier to clean. As to the yield, I mean, I don't have to do the test, but I'm going to say, before I even do this test, I'm going to say the Dynapro will win. If you're thinking about, like, what makes more nutrition, I would say also the Dynapro is going to win. I guess the only thing that the Nama would win is in the terms of the machine costs less than the Dynapro, but also the Dynapro offers you a lot more, while the Nama will also make things like sorbets and smoothies. You know, with the smoothie attachment, you know, the Dynapro can make smoothies, sauces, nut butters, and frozen banana treats, and all kinds of other stuff, because you have the flexibility of the blender and the juicer. So to me, the blender is a much more functional appliance that you could do a lot more than simply a juicer with 2 other attachments. Now the other thing that's important to me, and hopefully to you guys, is the warranty, right? The warranties are really important, especially if you're buying an expensive machine such as one of these 2 today. And I'm sad to say that the Nama only has a 2-year warranty on the parts, which are the most likely parts to break on the machine, which are the juicing parts. Of course, the motor has a full 10-year warranty, but you know, if we compare that to the Dynapro, the Dynapro has a 15-year warranty on the entire machine, which is simply amazing. It's the longest warranty in the industry for any vacuum blender, and I think even for any blender for that matter. And it's commercial grade. I love the Carafe, how short and fat it is, as well as it has a couple of cool pre-programmed buttons that make juicing in the Dynapro a snap. Now the next thing I want to cover, which I will show you guys when I do the demo in a second, is, you know, there's two main factors and issues with juicers, okay? The first issue is how well does it grind, right? The better the grind, the more the juicer or appliance could break open the cell walls and release the nutrients, the liquid gold inside. The juice man said it's the juice of the fiber that feeds you. You want to break open those cell walls to get the nutrients out. The more nutrients can come out into your juice, and the more efficient your juicer will be. You know, it is known that the single auger juicers aren't the best grinders, especially for things like carrots. For leafy greens, they tend to crush and squeeze those pretty good and get a pretty good yield. On things like, you know, fruits, they do a fairly decent job compared to other slow juicers. But you cannot beat the blender for the fineness of the grind. It literally will get things like powder size, like literally, like it'll break down all the fibers and extract all the nutrients out of the produce. You're literally going to be leaving very little nutrition left behind in the pulp as compared to a juicer. Now the other issue I have with juicers is that the juicing screen. So the juicer will grind things up and then the juice will come out of the juicing screen. I think the juicing screen on the Nama has 6,613 little holes that the juice could come out of. But if we look at a nut milk bag, you know, I'm not even going to count all the holes in a nut milk bag. There are infinitely a lot more holes that juice could come out. So this means you're going to get a lot more yield, as well as, you know, does the screen let any pulp through and into the juice? Because some people don't like pulp in the juice, whereas this bag will basically put virtually zero pulp in the juice because it's all kept inside the bag. Of course, we already talked about the cleaning. So, you know, every machine has its pros and cons, so I make these videos so that you guys can determine what juicer would be the best fit for you. I think those are some of the pros and cons. I'm not going to take apart these machines. I'll put links down below to the original Dynapro unboxing video. Also to some Nama videos that I've made in the past, so you can learn about the differences, you know, about the Nama and how it works specifically if you're interested. What I want to do next, though, is get right into this juice off. Today we'll be juicing celery and romaine hearts to see how long it takes in each juicer and how much juice we make. Alright, so you guys can see we're all set up and ready to juice, but first we're going to go ahead and do a weigh-in to make sure we have a fair fight. Alright, over on the Nama side, looks like we got 1,022 grams of produce, and over on the Dynapro side, 1,022 grams of produce. Going back up, you guys can see we clearly have 1,022 grams on both sides. So now that we got the weigh-in out of the way, we're going to go ahead and move these out of the way and remove the scales. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and first juice in the Nama. Now, to juice these items in the Nama, you do need to pre-cut them. The celery should be pre-cut. I like to cut them into 1/4-inch pieces. Otherwise, they may get clogged and jammed inside the machine. So if you don't get a lot of pulp out, that's because it's probably stuck all inside the machine. And then the romaine lettuce needs to be probably cut vertically to fit in the feed chute. Now, evidently, the feed chute on the Nama, the top feed chute, is the smallest size feed chute on any vertical slow juicer. Although there's a small saving grace is that the side feed chute is a little bit larger than the small one. But, you know, some things like carrots you can't diagonally put in there. You got to put in through the top. That makes feeding romaine a little bit more challenging. And I'll post a link down below to a video I made where I compare the VSJ, which has a standard size feed chute, to the Nama. And you can see how much longer it took me to juice the same amount of romaine hearts in the Nama compared to the VSJ. So of course, also while juicing in a vacuum blender, we'll also need to pre-cut the celery. So the pre-cutting is going to be a wash in time. So the question is, will it take less time to feed the produce into the Nama, or have it processed in the vacuum blender? Because the processing time is so short in the vacuum blender, it's longer in the Nama. But of course, the Nama is doing all the squeezing out so that you don't have to do it manually. Alright, so I guess we're going to go ahead and start the timer and start cutting and dropping things in. We're going to go ahead and time the whole thing, and I'm probably going to speed this up for you guys to save you guys some time. So we're just about done juicing in the Nama. It's been a little bit hard for me to hit the hole because the hole is so small and there's no good funnel. So I've had some things fly off the side, but overall we're pretty good. You guys can see we got a whole container of pulp. There's a weird noise in the Nama like this. You hear that rotating noise? Anyways, let's see. We're gonna go ahead and let it run a little bit longer, let all the juice come out. I think we're pretty much done juicing. We're gonna go ahead and turn that off and hit the stop button. You guys can see it took us literally 4 minutes and 35 seconds to juice in the Nama that amount of celery and romaine hearts. Now, coupled with cleaning, which I estimate to be 4 to 5 minutes, you're in at about 10 minutes to make 1 cup of juice. Now, let's go ahead and juice in the Dynapro. So juicing in the Dynapro will be pretty much similar to the Nama. You got to pre-cut the celery to about the same size, and I'm also going to pre-cut the romaine in slices so that it will properly blend. So I guess let's go ahead and get started. Hit start, and we're going to take out all this stuff, and we're just going to go ahead and pre-cut it all up. Now that we got everything pre-cut, we're going to go ahead and load up the Dynapro Carafe. We're going to want to make sure we put all the celery in there first, and you don't want to pack it in there tight. You want to have it a little bit loose. That'll make it easier for the blender to work when it is blending up the mixture to liberate the nutrients from the fiber. So we're going to try to go ahead and put all the celery in first, and then go ahead and just put the lettuce in on top, or maybe we'll just mix a little bit of lettuce in there with the celery. Alright, you can see we pretty much have almost a full carafe in the Dynapro. Last little bit going in. And we want to make sure that it's not going to contact the sides. We're going to then go ahead and put the vacuum pump on and hit the button, and we're going to suck out all the excess oxygen out of the carafe. I think we're going to go ahead and speed this up for you guys until we're ready to do the blending. It stopped vacuuming. We're going to go ahead and put the carafe on the top of the machine, and we're going to go ahead and speed this up for you while it's blending. But basically all you got to do is hit the pulse button once and then the blend button once. Alright, once it's done blending, you're going to go ahead and take it off, release the vacuum, the sound of freshness. We're going to go ahead and remove the top, and now we're going to scoop the whole mixture into the Blendtec nut milk juice bag. We're going to go ahead and scrape out all the excess that's in the bottom of the carafe as well. And this is in a 2-quart Anchor Hocking glass measuring bowl, or mixing bowl, however you want to call it. And that's the bowl that this nut milk bag fits perfectly. Once you get all the mixture in here, it's just going to be super simple, super easy. You're just going to go ahead and get to wring it out with your hands, which works, based on my testing, almost as well as a $2,300 press. Alright, so once we got that all out, we're going to go ahead and pull this bag up, lock the bag closed, and we're just going to go ahead and twist this and wring it out. We're going to go ahead and speed this up for you guys and come back at you when I'm just about all pressed. Final pressing, we got it all pretty much dry. We're going to go ahead and wring it out just like you're wringing out closed, dry, so we can get all the juice out. Alright, I think we're pretty much good. Go ahead and hit stop. So you can see that took a little bit longer. That took 6 minutes and 15 seconds. But how long will it take you to clean a nut milk bag? Just spraying it out of water and just basically rinsing out the carafe and the lid, right? To me, I don't see that taking more than like 2 to 3 minutes. So at that point, you're actually saving time over the Nama, maybe like a minute or two, or maybe if you're slow, you could call the time a wash. But let's see how much yield each juicer made. You guys could clearly see on the video that, you know, the pressing made more juice than even the Nama. And if you look closely at the top, I don't know if you guys can see that, but the Nama put a lot more air bubbles or foam into the juice. That's because when you're vacuum juicing, you suck out the air, so you're not going to get the air into the juice, which is responsible for the oxidative damage to the juice. So what we're going to do to be fair is we're going to go ahead and get some specific measuring cups that are identical. And what we're going to do is we're going to pour both juices through a sieve so that we can see how much pulp was put in the juice. Now when we pour the Dynapro vacuum blended juice through this sieve, I'm fairly confident that there won't be anything caught in the sieve because the whole size of the nut milk bag is even smaller than my sieve. And that's pretty impressive. All the juice, basically zero pulp caught in the sieve. Now, pulp in the juice will artificially inflate the yields. So let's see how much pulp is in the Nama juice. Alright, there's actually not too much pulp in the Nama juice until we get to the bottom. And then we get a fair bit amount of pulp out, although this is probably one of the lower pulp juicers for this recipe. Now, of course, if you're juicing softer apples or things like carrots, it's going to put more pulp in than the celery and the romaine hearts I did today in a slow juicer. Whereas, you know, with the press bag, you're pretty much always going to get the same amount of pulp, like none. So you guys can see there is the pulp we created on there. You know, comparing those, like zero pulp, and there's some pulp over here. But now, let's go ahead and do a close-up on the yields for you guys. Let's go ahead and take a look at the yields. You guys can clearly see the Dynapro blew away the Nama. The Nama made maybe 650 milliliters of juice approximately. But if we go over to the Dynapro, looks like we're over 850, maybe like 865 or something like that, compared to like 650. So let's go ahead and talk about the results. So according to my calculations, basically the Dynapro vacuum juicing method made approximately, I don't know, 27-28% more juice. So that means in the long run you will be saving money, because every time you juice in the Nama, you throw away your pulp, you're losing, you know, whatever 200 something odd milliliters of juice that you could have had that you did not get. I don't know about you guys, but I buy organic produce. Organic produce is expensive. I want to get every last drop out, and that's why I now am a big fan of the vacuum blending and pretty much do that almost exclusively in my home. Now the other thing is the taste test, which you are not able to do since you're not here with me today, but we're going to go ahead and do a taste test on these juices. First, we're going to go ahead and taste test the Nama juice. You guys can see the juice is nice and green. I mean, that's a solid juice. I like it, actually. It's one of my favorite recipes. I mean, it just tastes like a celery romaine juice to me. A little bit of aftertaste. Let's go ahead and try the vacuum blended juice to see if there's a difference. A little bit different color on there. Wow, I could taste the difference. So there's still the celery romaine bite, because romaine could be kind of like tastes a little bit bitter, like chocolate. Like that's how it reminds me of, like a chocolate milk. Of course it's not. But this reminds me of more rubbery, like you know, like it's wetter, water wetter. If you guys are into cars back in the, I don't know, 70s or 80s. Still's got the flavor. I mean, I feel more of the punch, so it's a little bit more stronger tasting. So I would personally attribute that to, you know, some of the different nutrients that are in the lettuce or the celery that's making it a little bit bitter. I believe that's what I'm tasting here. It shouldn't necessarily be the oxidation, because we did it under vacuum, so there should be less oxidation than a standard juicer. But now I want to show you the main difference between these two juicers, right? You know, here's the pulp that came out of the Nama. There's still some pulp left inside the Nama. So you guys can see all the pulp here. We got a nice little, a pile of pulp here. Now let's go ahead and take the pulp out of the Dynapro side and see what we got. You guys could clearly see the difference in the pulp, right? This pulp is still kind of like green, that's probably the romaine, and this pulp is more like kind of like light green, and it's really broken down. You cannot see any distinguishable fibers in there. I mean, it just looks like if you dried this, it'd be like a powder. Meanwhile, if you take a look at this pulp, you guys could see what that looks like. I mean, there's just long strings that didn't get broken up. There's probably some nutrients in the strings. In this, it's just totally non-discernible. So it did a better job grinding, did a better job extracting, and you got more yield, so you're going to save more money. So that's pretty much the demo today for you guys. And in the end of this video, I always like to declare a winner of my juice offs. And this juice off, clearly the winner to me, was the Dynapro vacuum blending. I'm telling you guys, I'm not a fan of vacuum blending just because it's a new thing. Actually, when I first learned about it, I did not want to accept vacuum blending because I have been selling juices for over 20 years. But now that I've experienced it, and now I'm able to show it to you guys, comparing a high-speed juicer to the vacuum juicing, comparing something like the pure juicer to vacuum juicing, and now I'm comparing the slow juicer, vertical juicer, to vacuum juicing. I hope you guys are seeing the trends that literally vacuum juicing is the way to go. Once again, only negative is that this is a batch juice, so you could maybe add a bit more to this to blend up more and extract more, but you will also still get more yield. It may take you a little bit more time, but then you got to ask yourself, do you want more nutrition, or do you just want the ease and convenience of putting the produce in and having it come out? But as you guys saw even in this episode, the times, maybe the vacuum juicing will save you about a minute compared to the Nama, or maybe the times will be a wash, but what is not a wash is the 26% more juice, as well as better broken down produce and a better utilization of the produce that you guys are buying, especially if it's organic produce like I buy. So hopefully this video has been valuable to you guys. If you guys are interested in buying the Nama or the Dynapro, please be sure to check the links down below. First comment in the comment section. Also, it is in the description to support me at discountjuicers.com. Your purchase at discountjuicers.com is really appreciated so that I can continue to make these videos to educate the world about the power of juicing and all the updates and new things happening in the juicing industry that I keep up to date with, that I'm not sure anybody else on YouTube does to the extent that I do. So I appreciate you guys for watching this, hanging out, and learning more about the power of vacuum juicing. I know a lot of you longtime juicers that have been juicing in a slow juicer don't want to accept the new information, and you guys are free to do that, but I want to share with you guys what I'm now doing in my home the most of the time, which is vacuum juicing, because I understand, I see, I taste, I see the money savings, I taste the difference when I'm tasting my juices, and I know a lot of people I've gotten feedback from that have now been vacuum juicing realize it as well, and it just gives you another tool in your arsenal. Not to say that I only ever vacuum juice, I do that like the majority of the time, but I'm still also using slow juicers because in some situations they may be better for my specific situation. So honestly, you should probably have both a vacuum blender and a juicer, but if you had to get one, I'd probably get the vacuum blender with the juice bags first, and then see if you really need to get a juicer, because likely the vacuum blender will do everything you need as long as you get the good juice bags from Blendtec while they still are available. So in any case, that's pretty much it for this episode. If you guys enjoyed this episode, hey, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up and be sure to share it with somebody else that has been juicing in a slow juicer or other style juicers so that they can learn about the newest technology to extract juice, which is juicing under vacuum. Also, be sure to click that subscribe button right down below so you don't miss out on new and upcoming episodes. I've coming out about every 5 to 7 days. You never know where I'll show up or what new juicer or appliance I'll be testing that'll allow you to eat more fresh fruits and vegetables and get them into the best way possible so that your body could benefit from all the different vitamins and minerals and phytochemicals, as well as the soluble fiber even in the juices that can positively impact your microbiome according to the science that I've reviewed. Make sure you click the little bell so you get notified as my new videos come out. And finally, be sure to check my past episodes. My past episodes are a wealth of knowledge, over 600 episodes at this time on this YouTube channel dedicated to comparing and contrasting all different major brand juicers out there and other appliances that allow you to eat more fruits and vegetables so that you guys can get the right appliance for you the first time and get the maximum yield and have the maximum health benefit from the amazing power of the fruits and vegetables. So with that, my name is John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com. Be sure to visit DiscountJuicers.com/YouTube for special promotional offers for YouTube visitors.